Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. And thank you for subscribing to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I am your boy, 12 Kyle. Man, check this out. I was listening to this song the other day, and it's one of my favorite songs, particularly at that particular time in hip hop, from the late, great MF Doom. He has a song called Rhymes Like Dimes. And in the chorus, he says, I'm the one who likes to keep cash but brag about the broken times. And that line just kind of stuck with me because it kind of, in some ways, not a lot of ways, but in some ways, it kind of describes me a little. Not that I brag about the broken times, but I'll be honest, I didn't come from I didn't have a silver spoon in my mouth, Miss Hawkins, as I give you my Nino Brown. No, we didn't have money. And I mean, full disclosure, I don't have any money now. But I think when I look back on my life, there were times where we really didn't have, relatively speaking, a lot of money. And those were some of the best times. I mean, so, it's a weird thing because that you don't really have a lot of money, but what you have is cool because you're able to live off of it and survive and you're happy. So that's all that matters. But yeah, growing up, we didn't, my parents, and I mentioned this on this podcast before, and it's worth repeating. My parents were together until I was almost 14. And so, we lived probably from the time I was a baby until I was 7 or 8. We lived in an apartment. And then we moved into a house. Parents bought a house. My mom still owns that house to this day. And what's interesting is that even living in, we called it the projects. Even living in the projects, it never seemed, it was low income housing in my hometown of Florence, South Carolina. But it didn't feel like we were poor, because we literally had everything that we wanted. And I just remember having everything that I wanted and everything that I needed. So, and, looking back on it now, I never thought about, oh man, my parents are broke. Because here's the reality. Even to this day, I don't think at that particular time in my life, I don't think my parents made more than $30,000 a year. Maybe give or two a couple of grand here or there, but I don't think that they made more than $30,000 a year. And we're talking about the 80s, right? So I was a kid that was born in 72. And so by the time we got our house, I might have been, I don't know, 10, 11, 12, something like that. But I wasn't that old. But, so we came from humble beginnings. But again, we never, I can't ever remember not having clothes or anything like that, or not having something to eat. There was always plenty of food. There was always clothes on my back. There were clothes that I wanted. I mean, if you're 10 or 11 years old, I mean, you weren't clamoring for J's, because I don't even think J's were out then. Well, the Jordans came out 84, 85, somewhere around there. So, but other than that, no. I mean, I was cool. I was cool. I will venture to say, I'm going to go out on a limb here, folks, but I would venture to say that I've made more money than my parents, career-wise. And that's not, it's not like I'm bragging or anything, but I mean, they just didn't make a lot of money. But I will say this, in saying that, I still feel like when it's all said and done, I have to be, if I can be half the parent that they've been for me, for my kids, our kids, then I feel like I'm successful, because my parents are the greatest and they are still great parents to this day. But no, we didn't have, relatively speaking, money-wise, we didn't have a lot of money, but there were broken times, but it didn't feel like that. In the Juicy song by Biggie, he said, wondering why Christmas missed us. I'll be honest, Christmas never missed me. We always, man, Christmas time. My brother Damon, he's 3 years younger than me. We always got clothes. We always got toys. Christmas was never a sad day for us. Now, again, I don't know what my parents went through to purchase these gifts. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't like we got a bunch of stuff, but we had more than enough stuff. I mean, like I distinctly remember telling my wife probably about 4 or 5 years ago. We woke up Christmas morning, and don't get me wrong what I'm about to say, because it's truly a blessing. But we woke up Christmas morning, and I literally could not believe all of the stuff that was under the tree. And I'm thinking to myself, like, me and Damon never had any of this type of stuff. Like, to the point where the tree was damn near being knocked over by the gifts. You couldn't even stuff under all of the gifts up under the tree. And again, I'm not saying that to brag, but it's just to let you know how fortunate my kids are in gifts. But I think more than anything else, I want them to think that they're fortunate that they have good parents, great parents, who are striving to make them better human beings each day. But no, it was crazy. Christmas never missed us. It was Damon and I always got what we asked for. And I remember distinctly, and here's the interesting thing. My birthday is December 9th, right? I remember people telling me, my parents in particular, sometimes, hey, do you want a birthday gift or do you want a Christmas gift? And that was like to say, like, hey, you can't get an expensive birthday gift. Not that I wanted an expensive birthday gift, but I mean, damn, I want to be able to celebrate my birthday like everybody else. I want something, but I always got a cake and a card. And I was cool. Don't get me wrong. I was cool with a cake and a card. But I never asked for toys on my birthday because Christmas was like a couple of weeks, like 2 weeks later. So, for my birthday, it was mostly cakes and cards and parties. But yeah, Christmas never missed us. I remember getting a couple of bikes. Damon got bikes. I distinctly remember, I want to say it was Christmas 1984. We got the Atari 2600. Listen, to this day, it is still the greatest Christmas gift that I've ever received in my life. The Atari 2600 was, simply put, the best Christmas gift ever. And so, again, at the time, my guess is that the Atari 2600 probably cost like $70-$80, which was a lot of money back then. We're talking 84, right? So they made it happen. I don't know how they made it happen, but they made it happen. Again, they didn't make a lot of money, relatively speaking. But yeah, it was good broken times. Good broken times. Like I said, I'm the guy that likes to keep cash and brag about the broken times. I wouldn't say brag, but I would say reflect on the broken times. What else? What was interesting was when I was in college. Obviously, college is, at least for me, was the brokest time that I've ever been in my life. But it was the most fun I've ever had in my life, right? And if I could hop in a time machine and go back to 1991, the fall of 1991, when I set foot on South Carolina State University's campus, I would do it all over again in a heartbeat. And I'd be broke as hell, and I would enjoy everything. I'm talking for the mere perspective of my haircuts cost $2. I could go to McDonald's and get a meal for like $3. And I'm talking fries, burger, drink, $3. Gas was like 99 cents. Even though I didn't even have a car, the gas was 99 cents. Life was cheap. But the flip side of it was I didn't have to have a lot of money to have fun. The parties on campus were like $2. I mean, you can't beat it. Listen, I could get my hair cut from my homeboy for $2 and I go to a party for $2. Come on, man, you can't beat that. And again, for those of you who know, I didn't drink when I was in college, so I didn't spend money on liquor. So I'm straight. $20. That was my number. If I got $20, I could make $20 stretch for I could make $20 stretch for like 3 weeks. I mean, it was a beautiful thing to get to. And I'll be honest, if I got $20, I felt like I was balling. And it's strange to say it like that, but I really, really felt like I was balling if I got $20. If I got $50, oh, it's a wrap. If I got $100, I am the king of the world. I mean, but I just learned how to make do with what I had and, stretch the dollar. I remember having, my mom, I distinctly remember her giving me an ATM card. And she said, hey, go to the ATM when you need the money or whatever like that. And so I would go to the ATM and I'd take out this is back in the day, you could take out $5 from the ATM. And my mom was like, hey, why are you taking $5 out of the ATM or $10 out of the ATM? I was like, well, I didn't need a whole bunch of money. I just needed money for this or for that. And she said, look, they're hitting me with a service charge every time you go. So just, if you need to, just take $20 or $30 or $40 like that. And I was like, what? I was so happy. But I don't recall ever taking more than $20 out of the ATM while I was at college. And I figured that she wasn't going to get hit with a big service charge if I just only took out $20. But that's the most that I ever took out when I was in college. And $20 would last forever. I could go to McDonald's. I could go to the grocery store, purchase some bread, peanut butter, jelly, some chips. That's snacks right there, because I'm a football athlete, so I'm eating on campus and I'm eating in the cab, but I got a chance to have some snacks in my room, so you can't beat that. But no, $20 really stretched a long time. One of the dope things was, at least being a football player at South Carolina State University, particularly in the 90s, was after the game, you would leave the locker room, and the way our stadium's set up, you could, if you go left, then you walk toward the dorms or what have you. But if you go to the right, you have to go into the tailgate area. You're in the tailgate area. This is where all the alumni are, old heads. They're, talking trash and grilling and everything. And what was dope about that was that if you walk through the alumni, if you got on your Bulldog hoodie, which was our school mascot, I got on my Bulldog hoodie. It's got 12 Chi. It doesn't have 12 Chi, but it's got the number 12 on the back. And so, people, they recognize, they know that you play football. So they say, hey, come on over here. Let me talk to you. So they come over, you go over and talk for a few minutes. And before you knew it, you would leave and they would shake your hand. And as they shook your hand, they'd put something in your hand as they removed their hand from your hand. And if you're watching on YouTube, thank you for watching, but you would have something in your hand similar to what I just showed you just now. And that would normally be a $20 bill. Those were the best because this is unsolicited money and you're getting $20 handshakes. And the $20 handshakes went a long way. I mean, if you walk around and walk long enough, you could come out of there $100, $120, $140, depending on where you go. Because here's the thing, the alumni, it's not so much as about them paying you, because technically at that time it was against NCAA rules for them to give us some money because they're alums and we are student, quote unquote, student athletes, more like athletic students. But that's another story for another day. But the flip side of it is that as alums, they know that you need money. And in their eyes, hey, if I give him a couple of dollars, he'll be okay. And I really appreciate it. And keep in mind, this would be people that you don't even know. They're just alums. And so I got quite a few $20 handshakes, particularly by the time I was a junior and I was a senior at South Carolina State University. And it was fun. It was fun because again, that's unaccounted for money. That's money that you're not expecting to get. And so, it was a beautiful thing. It was a beautiful thing. I love those $20 handshakes. And then as I got older and matriculated through college, you get those college refunds. You don't need me to tell you about the college refunds. Refunds made you feel literally like you were a billionaire, even though it was a couple of $1,000s. I remember one year I took a refund. My refund was like $2,500 or something like that. And I took $2,000 and I bought a car. I bought a car cash, yo. And it was a Nissan. It was like an 89 Nissan Sentra. It was a hatchback. Picture me driving a hatchback. But yeah, that was the first car I ever bought with my own money. My mom gave me her car initially when I got to school, 2 years into college. But later on, I actually purchased my own car, and it was a Nissan Sentra. It was a hatchback. I used to put, and it was a stick shift too. I used to push that joint too. And I had that car for like maybe 6 months before my aunt hit a deer and totaled the car. Go fig. But yeah, refunds made you feel like you were, Bill Gates. And then also, some of the broken times I had was really great times because I was living off campus in college. And living off campus poses a different, type of scenario because one, if you're living off campus, you don't have access to the food on campus. So you got to fend for yourself. So some days you might have to cook. Some days you may have to kind of bum some food. But and I never had to bum. But what I mean by that is like I put it like this: me and my homeboys, we knew some girls who we weren't interested in them, and they weren't interested in us. But the thing about it was they were so cool, and we were all fly with each other that sometimes they hit us up. Hey, what y'all doing tonight? Oh, nothing. Well, we're making spaghetti and we're playing spades. Bet. We coming. And we would go play spades and eat spaghetti. And I mean, like, nothing was doper than the girls in college who could cook. So that was dope, especially at HBCU. And so like we did a lot of that, but I didn't have a problem cooking for my own, for myself. The first place that I stayed off campus was the summer leading into my junior year. I stayed on this in this little house. It's a boarding house called. It didn't even have a name. It was on Loman Street in Orangeburg, South Carolina. Shout out to Loman Street, the little blue house, the blue house on Loman Street. Everybody knew that house. So I'm staying there. My cousin Eric is there. And what's interesting is it's like 7 different rooms, and we all are in these different rooms, and we share a kitchen and we share living, kind of like a living room area space, and everybody had their girlfriends come over and stuff like that. It was crazy. And we shared like I think there were 3 bathrooms. We shared the bathrooms based on where your room was situated, but the bathroom was mad small. I mean, like the bathroom was so small that there's a toilet and a stand-up shower. Like you literally could, if you were standing over the toilet, sitting on the toilet, you could extend your arms out and touch both walls. And the shower part, man, that joint, it was mad small. I mean, like, it was so small, it literally only fit one person. I mean, like, if you ever try to take a shower with somebody in a small shower like that, you'll realize like it's really too small. And my girlfriend at the time, I remember us taking a shower, and I was like, "Yo, this is way too small for the 2 of us to be in here." Um, so, and Sharice and I still laugh about that to this day. But yeah, it was. We had some broken times. And, I mentioned Sharice because we went to school together, and that's where we met before we got married, obviously. And, we didn't have a lot of money. She doesn't come from a wealthy family either. But, we learned to make do. And, I think some of those broken times really helped propel us to where we are today. me and my job, I make, $7.32 an hour. So I do okay for myself. But yeah, it's funny because I remember, I want to say the first apartment that Sharice and I had, I think rent was like $200. I mean, I got a job. She got a job. She was working as a cashier at a grocery store. I was one of the assistant managers at Video Warehouse, and I talked about my first job on here. But yeah, and it's funny because I remember we were living together, and Sharice and I, we talked about, man, it's gonna be so dope. At one point in life, we're gonna be able to go in a grocery store and we can just buy whatever we want. I mean, we really had those kind of conversations, and it's like that at that particular time in your life seems so far away, but in reality, by the time you get to that place, you have other things and other responsibilities. But I just remember going into the grocery store saying, okay, hey, we can only spend $75, and like literally having a calculator calculating the tax as I'm putting grocery items into the buggy. But it was dope, man. It again, the broken times, I enjoyed it. I would not trade those times for the world. Now I go into places, I go into, Publix where shopping is a pleasure. And no, I don't have to worry about, overspending as far as the groceries are concerned, or anything like that, because I got a couple of dollars that can take care of, whatever I spend. But the flip side of it is that you just miss those times, because I think, you the hunger is different. And what I mean by that is the hunger to strive to get more money, to succeed, or what have you. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, you just view it differently, because I view the world differently at 51 than I did at 21. I mean, it's the evolution of man. But yeah, the broken times, those were some good times. Those were some really good times. I know for a fact I'm never going back to the broken times, but it's always good to tap into the memories, because, they help make who you are today. And I'm thankful for that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for checking out this edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast. The podcast drops every Thursday and every Sunday at midnight. If you're on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube. Hit the like button and hit the notification button. That way you get notifications every time we drop an episode. Follow us on social media at 12 Kyle, at 12 Kyle Podcast, Twitter X, Threads, Facebook, Instagram, you name it, we're there. The podcast, like I said, it drops every Thursday and every Sunday. And we're no longer doing bonus episodes. We are currently giving you a new episode every single Sunday. Also, if you're into merch, look in the description box. You can click a link. It says merch. And there you can purchase, 12 Kyle Podcast t-shirts. We have 12 Kyle Podcast mugs. We have 12 Kyle Podcast hoodies. That and much more at a relatively cheap price, if I do say so myself. But yeah, check us out. Follow us, support us. Like I said, the podcast is out. And if you feel so inclined and you want to throw us a couple of dollars, hit us up on Cash App, $TWELVEKYLE. Again, that's going to do it for me. I am your boy, 12 Kyle. I'll catch you guys next time. 5,000.